Episode 1, The Arrival. The year was 2045 and Earth was going through its usual routine, with people going to work, children going to school, and life continuing as usual. However, one day, something changed. Strange objects appeared in the sky, and they were moving closer to Earth. People started to panic and governments around the world began to mobilize their military forces. As the objects got closer, it became clear that they were not of this world. They were spaceships, and they were massive in size. The ships entered the Earth's atmosphere, and suddenly, all communication and electricity on the planet stopped. Panic turned into terror as the people of Earth realized that they were under attack by aliens. The ships landed in different locations around the world, and from them emerged creatures that had never been seen before. They were tall, with a slim figure, and had a strange, almost translucent skin. Their eyes were large and black, and they carried weapons that were unlike anything that had ever been seen before. The aliens began to spread out, and soon, the world was in chaos. Cities were being destroyed, and people were dying in their thousands. The military forces of the world fought back, but they were no match for the alien technology. The world was quickly losing the war, and it seemed like there was no hope. Episode 2, The Resistance. As the aliens continued their invasion, a small group of people began to resist. They were people from all walks of life, coming together to fight back against the invaders. They were led by a retired soldier named John, who had a deep knowledge of military tactics and weapons. The resistance was small, but they were determined to fight back. They scavenged for weapons and supplies, and soon, they had a small army of their own. They began to launch guerrilla attacks on the aliens, striking from the shadows and disappearing just as quickly. The resistance was making a difference, and the aliens began to take notice. They started to send more troops to find and eliminate the resistance, but the resistance was always one step ahead. They continued to grow, and soon, they had bases all over the world. As the resistance continued to fight back, people around the world began to see that there was still hope. They started to join the resistance, and soon, the resistance had grown into a full-blown rebellion. Episode 3, The Counterattack. With the resistance growing stronger by the day, the aliens realized that they were facing a serious threat. They began to ramp up their efforts, launching massive attacks on the resistance forces. The fighting was intense, and it seemed as though the resistance was on the brink of defeat. However, John and the leaders of the resistance had a plan. They had been gathering intelligence on the aliens and their technology, and they finally had a way to defeat them. They launched a massive counterattack, targeting the aliens' weak points and using their knowledge of their technology against them. The counterattack was a success, and the aliens were caught off guard. The resistance forces pushed forward, driving the aliens back and taking control of their ships. The aliens were in disarray, and they soon realized that they were defeated. With the aliens defeated, the resistance forces secured the alien ships and began to study their technology. They discovered that the aliens were from a distant planet, and that they had come to Earth in search of a new home. The resistance leaders decided to offer the aliens a deal. They would allow them to stay on Earth, but they would have to live peacefully and help to rebuild the planet. Episode 4, The Negotiations. With the war over, the leaders of the resistance sat down to negotiate with the alien leaders. The negotiations were difficult, as the two sides had a lot of distrust towards each other. However, they eventually came to an agreement. The aliens would help to rebuild the planet, and in return, they would be allowed to stay on Earth and live among the humans. The rebuilding process was long and difficult, but the aliens proved to be valuable allies. They used their advanced technology to help repair the damage that had been done during the war, and soon, the world was on its way to recovery. However, not everyone was happy with the outcome of the negotiations. There were still many people who feared and distrusted the aliens, and they began to organize against them. They launched attacks on the aliens, and soon, the two sides were once again at war. Episode 5, The Divide. The new war between the humans and the aliens created a divide among the people of Earth. Some sided with the aliens, seeing them as valuable allies in the rebuilding process. Others saw them as invaders and a threat to the human race. The fighting was intense, and it seemed as though the world was on the brink of another full-scale war. However, John and the leaders of the resistance stepped in, once again mediating between the two sides. They managed to broker a new peace agreement, but the tensions between the two sides remained high. As the world continued to rebuild, the leaders of the resistance realized that they needed to find a way to bring the two sides together. They decided to organize a summit, bringing together leaders from both sides to discuss their differences and find a way to work together. The summit was a success, and the leaders of the two sides finally began. With the humans and aliens now working together, the world began to change rapidly. The aliens shared their advanced technology with the humans, and together, they began to build a new world. Cities were rebuilt, and new technologies were developed. The standard of living for the people of Earth improved dramatically, and the world was finally on its way to recovery. However, not everyone was happy with the new world. There were still many people who distrusted the aliens and saw them as a threat. They began to form new resistance groups, determined to drive the aliens off the planet. The leaders of the resistance were quick to respond, sending in teams to neutralize the new threats. The fighting was intense, but the resistance forces were able to maintain the peace. As the world continued to grow and change, the leaders of the resistance realized that they needed to take a step back. They saw that the world was in good hands, and that the people of Earth were finally able to live in peace. Episode 7, The Discovery. As the world continued to progress and rebuild, a new discovery was made that would change everything. A team of scientists stumbled upon an ancient artifact, hidden deep beneath the Earth's surface. The artifact was revealed to be a map, pointing the way to a mysterious new world. The leaders of the resistance were quick to act, assembling a team of explorers to embark on a journey to this new world. The journey was long and difficult, but the team finally arrived on the new world. They were amazed by what they found, as the world was abundant with resources and technology that was beyond anything they had ever seen. The team brought back samples of the technology and resources, and soon, the leaders of the world were clamoring to get their hands on it. The new resources were put to use, helping to further rebuild the world and improve the standard of living for everyone. However, the discovery of the new world also had its consequences. As news of the new world spread, it sparked a rush of people eager to explore and claim its resources. The new world soon became a point of contention, as different nations and corporations vied for control of its resources. Episode 8, The Battle for the New World. The discovery of the new world sparked a new conflict, as nations and corporations battled for control of its resources. The fighting was intense, and soon, the new world became a battlefield. The leaders of the resistance saw what was happening and knew that they needed to step in. They assembled a team of their best fighters and set out for the new world, determined to bring an end to the fighting. The battle for the new world was fierce, but the resistance forces were able to defeat the various armies and corporations. They established a new government on the new world, and worked to ensure that the resources were distributed fairly among all the people of the Earth. The new world became a symbol of hope and unity, as people from all over the world came together to build a better future. The resources and technology brought new prosperity to the planet, and the people of Earth finally seemed to be living in peace. Episode 9, The Threat from Beyond. Just as the world was finally at peace, a new threat appeared from beyond the stars. A massive alien fleet arrived, determined to conquer the Earth and claim its resources for their own. The leaders of the resistance were quick to respond, assembling their best fighters and sending them into battle. The fighting was intense, and it seemed as though the Earth was once again on the brink of destruction. However, the resistance forces were able to hold their ground, thanks in part to the help of their alien allies. Together, they were able to defeat the alien fleet and protect the Earth. The leaders of the Resistance knew that they could not let their guard down, as the threat from beyond the stars was always present. They continued to work to improve their technology and resources, preparing for the next attack. Episode 10, The Legacy. As the world continued to progress, the leaders of the Resistance looked back on their journey and the battles they had fought. They realized that they had accomplished something truly remarkable, and they wanted to ensure that their legacy lived on. They established a new organization, dedicated to preserving the history of their battles and the journey to the new world. They also worked to ensure that future generations would be prepared to face any threats that might come their way. The leaders of the Resistance passed on their knowledge and skills to a new generation of fighters, preparing them for the challenges that lay ahead. They also established new alliances with other civilizations in the galaxy, working to ensure that the Earth would never again be threatened from beyond the stars. And so, the world continued to progress and grow, as the people of Earth lived in peace and prosperity. The legacy of the Resistance lived on, serving as a reminder of the bravery and determination of the human spirit.